We are ready to go. Okay, we are recording. Guys, thank you so much for attending this masterclass with us. We're super excited to be able to be here with you, to be a part of this with you, and to enjoy the conversation around mastering first impressions. When we go out to meet somebody for the very first time, what are some of the things that we should be saying? What are the things we should be doing? But most important, who do we need to become if we're going to master the first impression? We got a lot of people coming in from different parts of the world today. If you would be so kind, go in and just share with us where you're logging in from, where you're joining from, and just let us know where you're coming to the platform from. We're super excited to have you here, and we want to be able to serve you. Also, if you don't mind, tell us in the chat a little bit about what you're selling. What are some of the things that you're selling for products, for services, for things of that nature? Because we're going to talk a lot about selling. We're going to talk a lot about why these things are so important to your career, to your business, to whatever industry you're in. It's extremely important that we make good first connections. I'm excited about this specifically this week because I'm in Illinois right now, and I'm going to be able to meet some new people this week. We're doing some cold calls with a customer out here, and the next 2 days, it's going to be brand new people I've never met before. And after all these years of doing the kind of work that I do in water and agriculture, guys, I'm excited. This is such an exciting time for me because I know that meeting people for the very first time is the first step to transformation. It's first step to transforming anybody's water management business. Anything that I do, I know we bring great value. As you should think about your product, your services, you bring great value to the industry, to your industry. So you want to be able to leverage that ability to connect with people. And that's really what we're talking about today. So I just want to share with you guys some things here about increasing your sales. And thank you again for jumping in here. I'm not able to see all the chat right now, the way things are set up on my end. So I do appreciate you guys jumping in. Rebecca, do we have anybody with any questions, any thoughts, any comments as we're getting started? Where are some of the people logging in from?
We got Dallas, Texas. And no questions yet.
Dallas, Texas. I know we've got some people coming on from Nebraska. I've seen a couple of them in there on the chat before I fired this up. So I know we got people in here from Nebraska. I've seen a couple from Kansas. They're just kind of shy and not putting their information in, but go into the chat. We want to make sure that you ask questions today. Dallas, Texas, thank you for joining. Greatly appreciate that. I'm actually going to be in North Texas next week. Looking forward to coming back to Texas. It's always a great time when we're down there. Okay, so increasing your sales by making the first impressions. Awesome. Guys, this is where it has to start. When you meet someone for the very first time, it doesn't matter what you're selling. It doesn't matter what you're offering. If you're selling yourself, making that first impression is critical, and you need that impression to be awesome. Because if you don't have that amazing first impression, then you're a lot less likely. I'm not going to say that it's completely unlikely that you're gonna miss out on a sale, but it's highly unlikely that you're going to miss a sale when you don't have an amazing first impression. So what we're going to share with you today are 3 things that you must do. These are 3 must-dos, in my opinion. These are must-do things that you have to master if you want to master the first impression. These 3 things are absolutely critical. So let's see if you're in the right place right now. If you want to feel more confident meeting new people, you are in the right place. I'm going to share with you a little bit of my story. My story was I was super scared. My story started out really rough when I got into sales, when I got into leadership. My story was scary. I mean, I would get to the point where I would physically get sick when I'd go to meet new people and driving down a driveway to meet a new farmer I'd never met before. I had zero confidence. And I'm going to show you some ways to build confidence. I want to make sure that you can walk into someone's organization for the very first time and be confident when you do it. You're also in the right place if you want to increase your influence. See, this is a key factor. If you're not in the operation today, if you're not on the farm today, if you're not working with the people today, somebody else is. Just know that. Somebody else is. And that somebody else has some kind of influence on that customer. What you want to be able to do is step onto that operation, knowing ahead of time that you don't have influence when you start, but that your whole objective is to increase influence. When I learned this in my own experience, it was game changing. When I learned that if I wanted to compete, I had to compete with influence. I'm going to show you how to increase your influence today. If you want your new customers to see you as a trusted advisor, this one hit me really hard about 20 years ago when I had a farmer who he laughed at me. He laughed at me when I started talking with him about our company, and we wanted our company to be able to bring him value and be the trusted advisor. He laughed at me, and I'll never forget what that made me feel like. It made me feel so horrible. And I remember thinking, this is not cool. This is not cool. We need to create systems where a farmer's excited about having a trusted advisor. We need to become that person, that trusted advisor that the farmers really, really want. You're also in the right place if you simply want to make more sales. This is so critical. We all want to do more in our life. We all want to achieve more. We want to do more for our families. We want to do more for our children. We want to make more sales. And I want to share with you how we're going to do that right out of the gate. And last but not least, I have a tremendous amount of free value that I want to give to you. And if you wait till the end of this webinar, we're giving away a lot of free value and a very, very special offer. Okay. Our special offer at the end, you don't want to miss. In fact, just this morning, I was in a vehicle with one of our clients, and he was talking about the offer that I'm going to propose to you guys. And he was telling me, well, we were face to face in the vehicle, just how valuable this program was for him and the impact that it made on him, even how the impact affected his family. That's critical. The program, the offer that I'm going to bring to you here at the end was impacting in a very, very special way, even their family and their family relationship. So guys, you don't want to miss out on this special offer. Now, I've shared with you just briefly a little bit about me. My name is Kylan Hunt. I'm the co-founder, along with my wife, of Kylan Hunt and Company. We're a leadership and business development company. We focus on teaching people how to sell, how to grow and develop their businesses using leadership practices, and leadership skills, the soft skills, if you will, of business. There's so many people out here trying to build their businesses on hard skills, but here's the problem. So many businesses are failing today. Salespeople are struggling to be successful. But the most successful people that I know of in the industry have mastered the soft skills of connection. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that I've gone through. I'm going to share with you part of my story, and I'm going to share with you why these skills are so critical to success. But before we go there, I want to touch on something. I want to touch on a reality that every single one of us are facing. A reality of where we are on the left and where we want to be. See, all of us are sitting somewhere right now. We're making X amount of money. We're making X amount of income. We have X amount of influence, right? We're all doing something right now. But I can guarantee you, I have yet to meet a person in my entire life. I've yet to meet anybody. Doesn't matter how successful they are. Everybody wants to do a little more. They want to be at another level. And that's what we want to talk to today. We want to help you create a plan to reach your potential. We all need a plan. I have to have a plan. My wife has a plan. Our partners have plans. We need a plan to reach our potential. See, I believe that you were created on purpose for a purpose. I believe that there's potential within you if you're still breathing, if you're still here and you're still in business of any kind. Doesn't matter if you're in a nonprofit, if you're in a for-profit, it doesn't matter if you're in sales, you're in leadership, you're in management, it doesn't matter. You're here for a purpose. And for that purpose to be realized, we have to increase our potential. And one of the greatest ways to do that is through sales. One of the things I'm going to promote at the end of this through our offer is the value of selling. I had to learn this myself many years ago. Sales is a very, very honorable career. And I've seen it dishonored so many different ways in my lifetime. I'm 51 years old and I have seen people discredit selling, and it just breaks my heart because we're all in sales. Even if you're a parent and you're simply wanting to challenge your kids to do something that's good for them, we have to sell them on the idea. Even parents are selling to their children. We have to know the skills of selling if we're going to be good in this life in general. And that's one of the things that I want to help you create is a plan to make your sales awesome. See, when I started in this type of business, when I started in agriculture, when I started connecting with people, I was horrible at it. I was horrible at meeting people. I was a truck driver. And when I had to meet new people, it would make me sick. I mean, physically, it scared me so bad when I would have to go drive down a driveway, like I mentioned before. I had to go to a meeting. I had to go to a networking event. It scared me. The anxiety was horrible. And I knew that as bad as I wanted success in my life, I knew I had to find a way to get past this. And I knew that selling was going to be a big part of that. So I started going to all these different sales events. I started connecting with all these different salespeople. The one up in the top left corner there, How to Master the Art of Selling Anything by Tom Hopkins. He was the very first one that I began to really connect with. Tom Hopkins was the one who got me started in personal development and started thinking about all the sales processes and things like this. And I listened to his tapes. That tells you how old I am. The first things that I heard from Tom Hopkins were on tapes. So that says something about me and how long I've been doing this, right? But Tom was missing one thing. And so is every other person on this call, on this page. Every person that I was learning from had mastered sales in their industry. And one thing I learned about agriculture is it is a massively challenging industry for salespeople. It was for me. It was for many, many others. It still is for many others. So as much as I love the people on this page, and I've learned so much from them, every single one of them misses something in agriculture and agriculture sales. And that's why we're here today. I want to share with you specific things that I have found worked in agriculture selling. See, no matter what I did, I struggled to get better results when I was working with those different people and I was learning from them. I was still struggling to get better results. Something had to change. And what I learned is that great salespeople, great communicators, great leaders, great managers, they're not born that way. This was a thought, this is what I believed early on. I just wasn't born with those skills. I didn't have the right education. I didn't have the right skill set. I didn't have what was needed. I found out that my belief system was not true. What I learned is that these individuals that became very, very successful in life, they became successful because they became the right kind of person. As a human being, I had to become a salesperson. I had to become a leader. I had to become a manager. But most important, and I'm saving this one for the last, most important, I had to become a communicator. That was priceless. See, communication, in fact, I just want to share, I want to get personal with you here for a little bit. Communication is critical in every aspect of life. It doesn't matter if we're communicating with our friends, with our spouse, with our children, with our customers. It doesn't matter where we're at in life. Communication will be one of the most important skills that you can ever learn to master. When I look at my own life and I look back and review my skill set, and when I look at who I am in the agriculture industry, I have been so blessed to know a lot of amazing people. And I've sat on a lot of precision ag panels, precision ag technology panels. I've worked with a lot of really, really amazing people in the precision ag industry. And as much as I greatly appreciate every single opportunity that I've ever had, there's times when I deal with imposter syndrome. It's the idea that, why am I here? I'm not as educated as somebody else. I'm not as good at this as these guys are. In fact, I've sat on precision ag panels and I felt so scared because the people on there were amazing people, and I love them to death. They're so good at what they do. And sometimes I sit back and I think, if they only knew that I'm not this good at the technical stuff, I'm not this good at it. But over the course of time, I began to realize that bar none, the most important thing that I could do to be successful in every area of life is master communication. I needed to become a communicator. And that, my friends, is why we're here today. Who you are in life matters way more than what you do. What you do is important, and I don't want to make light of it. But who you are and who you will become as a person is so much more critical. That's what you want to focus on. That's what you want to think about, is who you are, not just what you do. Because you're going to find out when we dive into these three things in just a moment, you're going to find out that who you are speaks a lot louder than what you say. It's not how smart you are. It's not how eloquently you can create spreadsheets or presentations. It comes down to who you are when you're connecting with people. Absolutely critical. Because just like Ralph Waldo Emerson says right here, who you are speaks so loudly that I can't hear what you're saying. And I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. So my friends, what I did is I stopped focusing on sales training and I focused on something way more valuable, considerably more valuable: personal development in the areas of leadership, leadership and communication. Leadership was first, communication was second, and that changed my life. So I focused on these soft skills, but there was still a problem. All the things that I had learned, all the people I was learning from, once again, I want to hit on this, all the people I was learning from did not work in agriculture. And this is critical for us to remember. If you're here, you are probably working in agriculture. And I want to let you know, I specialize in leadership and communication for people in agriculture. That's what Kylan Hunt and Company does. That's who we focus on. That's who we target. Because I believe with all my heart that the greatest people in the world are in small communities, they're in agriculture, and they're serving people around the globe. The greatest people in the world, in my opinion, are in agriculture. And I don't say that lightly. I grew up in agriculture. I love people in agriculture. I love the fact that I get to sit down and eat a meal created from people in agriculture. I love it. That's why we're here. Most important skill though, my friends, communication. Absolutely critical. So let's dive into it. My ability to connect with people. My ability to connect with people is bar none the most important skill that I ever learned. And I want to start sharing that with you today. I want to share with you what it takes to connect with people. So when you look at who you are in the industry, when you look at who you are, where you are, and your ability to connect, that's your first evaluation step. How well do you work with people? How well is your leadership skill set that you have right now? Are you focused more on selling products or are you focused on leading people? Which are you focused on the most? That's something you want to think about. You want to be able to evaluate yourself and say, if I'm more focused on sales skills than I am leadership skills, then I need to change my focus. Because if you don't have a great following, you're not going to get great sales results. I learned that the hard way. I focused on products. I focused on selling too many times. And that really, really, really hurt my sales. So here it is. 3 ways for you to make the first meeting amazing. I'm going to go into detail on these 3 things. I'm going to go into great detail on them. And I want to share with you specific things that you want to do in each of these phases. But before we get into this, I want to come back and get very, very personal with you. These things are critical. But even before this, you have to start thinking about your own mindset. What are the things that you believe about you? What are the things that you believe about your company? What are some of the things that you believe about the industry that you work in? About your specific position in the industry? What do you believe? Because as much as I'm going to show you, and I'm going to share with you secrets to making the first meeting amazing, it all starts up here with our own mindset, our own belief system about who we are. Do you see yourself as a person of value? Do you see yourself as someone who's created to take value and deliver value to other people? Are you a person of value? Do you see yourself that way? That's first and foremost. Secondly, do you see your company as valuable? Do you see the people in your company as highly valuable? Your teammates, your support system? Here's the thing, there's no support system out there that's perfect. It doesn't exist. I've worked in this industry for 30 years with a lot of different companies, and there's no support system out there that's perfect. There's a lot that continue to improve. There's a lot that have very low churn rates. In fact, I'm working with one company right now that has only a 3% churn rate, which is amazing. 3%. So even though we're not perfect, we're very, very, very good. So what do you believe about your company? What about the value in your company? What about your product, your service, your offering? What do you believe about that? Because if it's good, if your product, service, and your offerings are amazing, then it should be available to every customer every time. See, because I work in agriculture, I have a belief system about our products. I believe that every farmer in every field should receive our product every time. Every farmer, every field, every time. I don't think there's anywhere out there that I can't serve somebody with our product. Do you have that belief system? Do you have that belief system? Because if you don't have that level of belief system yet, that's one of the very first things you'll want to work with us on. At the end of this meeting, like I said, we're going to make an offer and you're going to have an opportunity to work with me directly. Each one of you on here is going to have an opportunity to work with me directly. And this is going to be one of the very first things that we'll talk about is our own belief system about anything. Because if we don't have the right belief system, all the things that I'm going to share with you now are going to be missing something. Okay. So let's dive into these three things and let's invest a good amount of time. Number one, on making a connection. The connection is critical. If we do not connect, we don't get anything else that follows up. This is actually happening the very first time you walk in the room. It's happening the very moment you shake a person's hand for the very first time. You open up the door on a cold contact. You walk into an office you've never been in before. In the first minuscule of a second, people are beginning to make a judgment about you. We've all done it. When we walk in someplace and we look at somebody, we make a judgment about them. So you want to be thinking about what you look like, how you come across, what you might sound like, the feeling around you, okay? But there's one specific thing that I believe that we have to be very, very cautious with, and that is our confidence. I'm going to challenge us all to learn what humble confidence is. Confidence is critical, but too much confidence, we've seen that in people. It comes across as arrogance. It comes across as a really high ego. And I know I have a tendency to do that. My wife has commented on it with me. My wife is part of the reason that I can be successful today. She's a major part of the reason. She helps me stay true to myself, and she helps me get better all the time. And it's through her that I've learned a lot about humble confidence. See, when you look up humble confidence, let's break it down. Humble, coming right out of the dictionary, having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. Having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. It doesn't mean that you're not important. You most assuredly are. But how do you represent that importance? How do you carry yourself? Are you coming across to other people as humble? Or are you coming across as arrogant? We want to think about that. We want to be able to manage how we come across. Sometimes we come across way too humble, and we're come across as too meek. We're too scared, right? We have to have a humble confidence when we're meeting people for the first time. Let's think about the word confidence. The feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, a firm trust. Look at the third definition here. A feeling of self-assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. That one really hit with me. A feeling of self-assurance. And I think that's what confidence is. So I want to be able to connect with people in such a way when I walk through the door that I can be confident with humility. Confidence with humility. That has to be practiced. If you're not confident, you got to practice increasing your confidence. If you're not humble, regardless of what you think, you might have to ask some people, do I come across as humble? Do I come across too aggressively? Do I come across too outwardly? Do I push out too hard? Because that can be seen, even though you believe it's humble, or you may be humble, it may not come across that way. So you want to be thinking about that, asking other people to help you. Okay. If you don't have confidence, you want to connect with us. This is one of the key things that I've worked on with salespeople over the years. How to create confidence. Okay. Another piece of building an amazing connection is it's all about them. It's all about the other person. It's never about me. It's always about them. When I walk through the door, I'm not thinking about my product at all. My product is not on the mind. It is not there. I want to sell them something eventually. But when I'm walking through the door, or somebody's walking up to our trade show booth, or I'm meeting somebody in a networking event, it's all about them. I want to make a connection. Because here's one thing I know. No one in the world, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. I've seen this time and time and time again, especially in the world of agriculture. Your customers are buying your product from somebody or something similar to your product or your service. And most of the time they're buying from someone that they believe cares about them. Or this is what you'll also find in agriculture. You're going to find somebody who's buying the absolute lowest price because they have to buy something. And they don't feel like hardly anybody cares for them. So they're buying the lowest price product that they can find. You don't want to be the lowest price product. You want to be the greatest value product. And you, my friend, are the value. You, the human being, you're the value. A lot of our products, there's no perfect product out there again. It doesn't exist. You are the value. You are the value. So when you're connecting with somebody, you are a person of value connecting with another person of value. And you want them to know how much you care for them. Okay? Here's another thing to remember when you're working with other people. They will not remember what you said, but they absolutely will remember how you made them feel. People remember feelings. People remember that emotional connection. People remember that. We don't want to take it lightly. You want them to feel amazing about you, your company, the service you offer, the products you offer. You want them to feel amazing. All right. Now, this one is, in fact, I've never actually heard anybody teach on this, but I've learned over the last 20 years that I want the customer to inspire me. I want the customer to inspire me. Now, I want to hone in on this just a little bit, because we have learned that we're supposed to go out, we're supposed to build rapport. This is what salespeople teach. Okay, a lot of sales trainers like build rapport, look for the opportunity to introduce your product, and boom, 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 boom. There's just these steps, right? But I've learned that most people in life are very reserved in nature, and most people have a desire to connect with other people. Okay, so they're reserved in nature. They're what some might call introverted, but they have a desire to connect with people. Now in agriculture, some of your big agriculture guys are very outgoing, very direct and to the point. We're going to talk about them in a whole nother session. That's a totally different environment. But most of the people in the world that you're going to connect with are reserved by nature, and they care for people. Okay. So with that in mind, I want to be careful how I'm pushing something on them. I would rather connect with them and let them inspire me. You know why? Because when they're sharing stories with me, when they are sharing their inspiration with me, they become inspired. This is what I've learned. Think about that. When they are sharing with me things that inspire them, and it inspires me, they get inspired. You see this? Inspired people get excited about things in life. Inspired people get excited about connecting with people who make them feel special. We want to be that person that made them feel special. So I want to let them inspire me. Okay. How do we go about doing that? I let them share. I'm not looking to push my product on them. I'm not looking to push my ideas on them. I'm not looking to push me on them. I want them to share with me. So I ask questions in a very specific way. I want to know, first of all, what do they know? And in the program that we're going to offer at the end, we talk about the power of these questions, because these questions will absolutely change your life. They'll change your life at home, in your church, in your nonprofit programs. It'll change your life everywhere. So the first thing that I'm doing when I connect with somebody is I want to know what they know. I want to know what they know, right? So I'm asking them questions. What have you learned about X? What have you learned about Y? What have you learned about Z? What are the different topics? What have you learned about? And I'm going to ask the question. Why? Because people have learned something. Now, some people have learned a lot more things than others. That's okay. This is a part of me being a leader. I need to know where they're at. I need to know how they're thinking. I need to know what they're thinking, what they believe, why they believe it. These are the things that I'll learn by asking people, what have you learned about water? What have you learned about technology? What have you learned about seed technology? What have you learned about hybrid technology? What have you learned about whatever it is? You can come up with 1,000 questions that tie to what have you learned about. This starts the conversation and allows them to start moving to something that inspires them. Okay. I'm looking to connect. That's it. I'm not trying to push my product yet. I want to connect. So after they've shared with me what they've learned, I ask another question. So based on what you have learned, what have you seen that delivers a result, that works for what have you seen, right? What have you learned? And then based on what you've learned, what have you seen? What has happened with what you've learned? What has other people done with what you've learned? This is a conversation that I'm having. Think about it. These are the kind of conversations that you would have when you're meeting somebody at a dinner meeting, at a networking event. These are the kinds of conversations you're having when you want to sell yourself, right? So what have you seen that inspires you? These types of questions are game changers. Then the third question that goes with this, I want to know what they feel. So I'm asking, how do you feel about, and based on what they've talked about in question 1, question 2, I'm going to ask them, how do you feel about the irrigation industry today? How do you feel about technology in agriculture today? How do you feel about, boom, what's your opinion of, how do you feel about? Those types of questions are the things that I'm wanting to get from my customers, okay? Now, the cool thing about using these types of questions and this process of what do they know, what do they see, what do they feel, this creates a connection. It does it because these 3 steps create inspiration. Think about it. What they know, what they see, what they've experienced, and how does it make them feel? When you get to that feeling portion, you've created inspiration. This is a key to connection. You want them to feel inspired, okay? You want them to feel inspired. And this is a way to do it. So my friends, That's just a really quick process. And again, I work with people sometimes years, 2, 3 years at a time, and we work consistently on these connection processes because learning to connect is a art. It's a skilled art form. And you don't have to be good at it today. You don't have to think about it that way. You want to be thinking about how can I be great at it tomorrow, the next day, next year? How can I continue to improve my ability to connect with people? So that's what we have for you on this first base. Step number 1, connect with people. Rebecca, how are we doing on the other end? Do we have any questions? Do we have any comments? Do you have comments, Rebecca, that you'd like to share with us about the importance of connecting?
I don't have a comment on the importance of connecting. Well, kind of, because our chat for the attendees is not working. So they're not connecting with us. So
Oh, my goodness. Bummer. That's on us, isn't it, Rebecca?
but the Q&A is available. So if you want to send in a question, then Kylan can see it, but the chat is not on.
My friends, I greatly apologize. That's all on me. That's a setting in Zoom that I didn't get set up right. I ruined our connection opportunity here. I apologize for that. Like Rebecca said, go into Q&A, give us some comments, give us some thoughts. If you have questions, great, but we will go in there and connect with you there. I greatly apologize for the chat not working. Rebecca, thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. Let's move on to the next piece of this. So we've covered the first step of making that connection. So we walk in the door, we've got the right mindset going in. We start asking some of the right questions, right? When we meet for the very first time, and this is not all the detail, we're talking about the first meeting. And if you want to talk about the first 30 seconds of that meeting, that's a whole lesson in and of itself. How we talk about the greeting, how we talk about the handshake, how we do all these different things. Those are all things that we can talk about, but that's a lesson in and of itself. We're talking about the first meeting. Many of you have worked with me before, so you know these processes, you know these steps. Many of you are just learning this, so you want to be able to follow up. You want to work with me long-term. And you want to work with our team, and a lot of the people that we've worked with are ready to start training and helping and teaching other people. Okay. So the next step in an amazing first meeting is identifying values. When we start thinking about identifying values, it's always what's important to them. Okay. Now, in the last step, we talked about what, the connection is all about them. But when we start thinking about value, it's again one of those things that's all about them. See, this is where a lot of salespeople, myself included, I made a lot of mistakes early on in my sales career by thinking it was the product value that the customer wanted. It was the product value that they were expecting when they talked to me. And in some cases, that's true. But that is only true if that's what's valuable to them. They have to be the ones to share with you what the value is. And that's what I want to be careful with here. It's not your products are important. The value of your products are important, but you want to make sure that you're not pushing that on them. But the value that you see, you want to bring to them. You want to deliver to them. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. You're going to deliver to them the value that they desire, what is important to them. So that's why one of the things that we talk about in our main training program is how much time do we invest in product knowledge versus people knowledge? How much time do you invest in product knowledge or people knowledge? Because we're selling to people. And some of my dearest friends, some of my very first clients in the leadership and business space struggled with that. They would study product for 5 hours to every 1 hour of studying people. That was a massive struggle for them to start shifting that and having a different viewpoint on it. But when you're valuing people, you're connecting with them at a totally different level. So what is important to them? Not what's important to you, what is important to them? The next thing you want to ask when you're identifying value, why is it important to them? Now I'm going to stress here, we don't always use the word why, because when somebody says something, they say, well, water quantity is extremely important to me. Well, why is that? We got to be careful how we say the word why, because our tone of voice, the way that we express the word why, it can come across quite harsh. So you want to be paying attention to yourself. You want to be listening to yourself. You want to be learning from yourself how you connect with their why. So one of the things that I've done in this space, when they tell me that something is important to them, let's say water quantity is extremely important to me. I'll say something in return that says, that's interesting. Can you share with me more about that? Can you share with me more about why that water quantity is so important to you? What is it that makes that important to you? I'm going to ask them those questions so that they express more, but they express more in such a way, again, you're thinking about inspiration, you want them to share in a way that it's going to inspire them, motivate them, encourage them to want to say more. Okay, so we want to be very, very, very careful with how we look for that. In our main training course, we'll actually talk about what do people believe, why do people believe it. This is something that you're looking for throughout the entire the sales process. It doesn't matter if you're in the presentation process, if you're in the greeting phase, if you're in the commitment phase, or if you're in the deliverables and the implementation phase. Doesn't matter where you're at, you're always looking to identify what do people believe, why do people believe it? Because that's part of connection. It's a big part of connection, okay? Now, the third thing about identifying values is what's important to them is now important to me. What's important to them is now important to me. One of the phrases that my good friend John Maxwell has said for years is we have to give up to go up. We have to give up to go up. And sometimes, friends, this is again going back to some of our own egos. We all have an ego. I do too sometimes. And there are times when I have to give up my own feelings to go up in an opportunity to serve somebody. I have to give up what I feel about to go up and acquire an opportunity to serve. Now, the interesting thing is, as our relationship continues to build and grow, they will eventually come back and ask me, what's important to you, Kyle? What do you value? But when our relationship is just starting and I'm a leader in this, I'm a leader and I'm wanting to work with somebody, I want to make sure that I'm giving up my own ideas of value and I'm connecting to their ideas of value. Extremely important. So I'm willing to do that to create a connection that allows us to move to a different level in our lives. And that is extremely important, my friends, to this first step of making a great first meeting. I'm identifying what they value. If it's not important to them, it's not going to be important to me. Okay. So now we've looked at 2 of the 3 things that we have to do to have an amazing first meeting. If I can connect, I can identify values that are important to them, I'm making an amazing step in the right direction. Now, this last step, get invited back. Again, I don't see a lot of people teaching on this. Part of the reason I don't see people in sales teaching on this is because they're teaching you what to do, what to say. They're not teaching you who to be. See, if you're going to get an invitation to come back to the operation, come back with your product, come back with your service. If you're going to get an invitation to come back, it's because they trust you. They've learned to connect with you and they like you. They want to be a part of what you're doing. Okay. That's a critical component. Very, very critical. Trust is huge. So going through those steps of connection, going through the steps of identifying value, that's building trust. That's going to lead you to the opportunity to get invited back. Absolutely critical. Do not take this for granted. Do not think that you're going to come back. Don't think that you're just going to get an opportunity. Have you ever gone and presented to somebody and then they ghost you? Won't answer your phone call? They run out the back door of the building. You follow up, and they want nothing to do with you. Somewhere along the line, trust has been broken. Value was not identified. Something happened. And we need to be able to recognize when that happens so that we can evaluate, man, what could I have done better? What can I do different next time? But if you're connected and you know what they value, now you have all the tools. You have all the tools you need to get invited back. Let's look at this. We want to focus on value to the person, not value of the product. Now, the person may find the product to be the value that they're looking for. That's possible, but not always. Sometimes you're going to find that your customer needs more education. They need to build more trust. They need more information. You have to be able to recognize what is the value the person needs, and is that value tied directly to the product or indirectly to the product? Direct or indirect value to the product, okay? If it's indirect, you're probably going to need education. There's something that they don't understand yet. There's something that they're still nervous about. This is where a lot of people talk about objections. In our main course, we talk a lot about objections, where objections come from, why objections happen, what are objections that other people create that you had nothing to do with. See, objections are totally different than a lack of information. A lot of times we believe that people are objecting to something when all they're looking for is more value for them. It's not an objection. It's simply that they don't have the value yet. So if you're going to get invited back, you're focusing on, in the first meeting, what do I need to be able to deliver to this person that brings value to the person? If you're focused on the value of your product, you've got the wrong focus. Okay. What are they wanting to learn? What do the customers want to learn? What does this potential client want to learn? See, I believe that we all want to get better. We all want to improve. We all want more success. I know in agriculture, I'm evaluating all the time. And I noticed that, and several years ago, and again, if you guys want to talk in detail, I'm more than happy to, but I've learned that there's three things that farmers really want. And these are pretty basic. They want more profit. They want to be more profitable, right? Second, they want less stress. Interesting. They have a lot of stress. I mean, it's agriculture, right? How often does the weather impact things? I mean, for crying out loud, look at the last 12 months. Weather has been a massive stress creator, right? Farmers are looking for less stress. Are there things that you can do to lessen stress in their lives? They want more profitability, want less stress. But get this, the third thing that I learned that farmers wanted, get this, my friends, they wanted to trust the people they worked with. In all the evaluation we did, it wasn't price, had nothing to do with price, had to do with whether or not they trusted the people they worked with. That was critical. Okay, so I learned that, and I learned it because the farmers told it to me. So what are they wanting to learn? See, I'm going to connect with them and I'm going to learn what they want to learn. They helped me learn that. Now I'm going to look what they want to learn. And you will be surprised when you ask a farmer this question. We're going into harvest season right now. And if you jump on, in fact, I want to get serious with you here for a little bit. If you jump in a combine, or you ride in somebody's truck, or you're sitting in a grain cart with somebody, and you're connecting with somebody in agriculture right now, ask them this question. What do you want to learn this winter? What do you want to learn in this off season? What do you want to learn before the next cropping season? What is it that you want to be better at next year? What are some of the things you want to learn about so you can grow, be more profitable, to decrease your stress? What are some of the things you're looking for? When you begin to give up on your product a little bit to connect to your customer, they will tell you exactly what you need to do. Exactly, every time. Guys, this is critical. This is critical stuff. They will tell you what they want.
Kylan,
Yes.
Britt has a question
Perfect.
on the getting an invite back. What's a
Yes.
couple of pointers or things to pay attention to know when to ask to come back, or that you'll get invited back?
Okay. That's a great question. Let me finish up on this and we'll come back to it. Okay. Can I do that?
Yep, perfect.
So how can you deliver what they're wanting? Some very specific things. I want you to think about delivery. Okay. And then we'll come back to that question. Okay, Rebecca, don't let me forget this. Don't let me go on past this. But I want to talk about delivery. Delivery is key. This is, again, a mindset more than it is an action. You want to think about delivery. We live in a world today where online selling is normal. A lot of people are buying online, but it's delivered in person, isn't it? It's delivered by a human being to your door in some fashion, through the mail, through Amazon. Somebody is delivering the value. So I want you to think about, are you delivering what your clients are ordering? So if you're not listening to what they're ordering. They may not actually tell you directly what they're looking for, but you need to be listening and indirectly willing to deliver value to them. Because if we spend money online, we buy something over the phone, we buy something from someone in person, we buy something online over Amazon or whatever it is, we're expecting something that has more value to be delivered than what we paid for the product or we paid for the service. So we want that to be delivered to us and it has more value than what we paid. Okay. Now, let's go back to the question right quick. Rebecca, go ahead and touch on that question again. What was it that Britt said?
On the getting an invite back,
Yes.
what's a couple of pointers or things to pay attention to know when to ask to come back or that you'll get invited back?
Great question. Okay. What I'm looking for every single time is a reason. It's something that they said, something they're concerned about, something that they believe in, something that they are saying in my conversation. In fact, I'm going to back up here a little bit. I want to touch on just a couple of things. Let's go back to this point here. What's important to them is now important to me. So when I'm listening to somebody and I'm listening very closely, they will say things like, I would love to learn more about this, but I've never seen it anywhere. I've never seen any of this type of information. Let me give you a very, very personal example. I was working with one of my very first customers on a large farm, and this was an interesting case, and it was my fault originally because I didn't follow up with this customer. To be quite honest, this was a long time ago. It was in my very early days of being in precision agriculture, and I was scared. They were a large farm. They were very intimidating, and I was quite honestly scared to death to work with them. And I was not following up intentionally because of fear. Well, guess what? They called me. They called me and said, hey, are you coming back down here? We want what you have. We want what you're offering. Come back and talk to us. And I said, okay. And again, I'm still scared to death. So I went down and I sat down with them, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. But in the conversation, I just started asking questions. What do you guys really want that you believe I can deliver? Because I was scared to work with them, guys. I was so open and transparent because I wasn't sure I could deliver on this. And I was actually looking for a way out, to be honest. And I was looking for a way out of this opportunity because it scared me so bad. So I was just asking questions. Through the questions, though, they began to tell me that there were certain things that they wanted to know that they couldn't find answers for. That was a huge pointer for me. So I started writing it down. And I went home and I started making phone calls. I started doing research. I started looking for the answers to 2 or 3 of the questions that they weren't able to get. But before that happened, at the end of this meeting, when I was so scared, I was writing things down. And at the end of the meeting, I made a comment. I said, so what if you had answers to some of these questions? What if there were answers available? What would you do with them? And you know what they told me? They said, Kylan, if you can find answers to these questions, we want you to come back and help us learn how to implement it. That was it. They wanted to learn how to implement it. They told me that if I could find an answer to those questions, that I had an invitation back. That became a game-changing meeting for me. It's when I started embracing this idea of, can I get invited back with all my customers? Can I listen to the things that they're missing in their life to be able to get an invitation to come back and serve them? Am I just missing the conversations most of the time because I'm trying to push my product? I learned that when I stop thinking about my product and start thinking about what they value, I will always come up with a way to get invited back. Let's take irrigation, for example. The industry that I've been in, technology and irrigation. When I'm meeting with people, and one of the pointers that I've learned is everybody is on a different scale of knowledge in the irrigation industry. Some people are very, very knowledgeable about the technology. They've had a lot of experience, and other people don't have a lot of experience. Okay. So one of the things that I'm asking questions about, what have they learned? What have they seen? How does that stuff make them feel? Going back to those key pointers. And if they mention something that they want, or they mention something that they think is a problem, I grab onto that. That's a pointer. I grab onto that. I embed it into my mind. I grab on to what they said was a problem. Because at the end of our meeting, I'm going to ask a question. If you had an answer to this, how important is it to you to get the answer? How important is it that you get the answer to this problem? Or you get a solution to this problem? Or you get a better understanding to what you currently don't understand? How important is it that you get this? And I will ask them directly, and they'll say, well, it's not that important. So you don't want me to help you find the answer. It doesn't matter enough to you. Well, no. If you can get the answer, I want to know. And if they'll say, okay, so you do want the answer, Then if I can find the answer, what do you propose we do with it? He said, well, come back and share it with me, right? I'm asking the questions that allows that gets the farmer to say, I want you to come back. I want you back in my place. But in order for me to do that, I have to listen. I have to master the art of listening. And I'm grabbing on to the little things that are irritations, that are frustrations, that cause them stress, that decrease their profitability. I'm grabbing on to the things they say. And then I'm asking a question at the end that will motivate them or move them to say, Kylan, bring that answer back, bring that solution back, bring that product back, bring that value back. And every time I go back then, when I get that invitation back, I go back with that plus more. That plus more. I don't just get the solution. I tie that solution to another solution. I tie that problem to a fix for this problem. And I'm going to deliver more than what they said. See, this is where this all came from, guys. You go listen to most sales trainers, they'll tell you that they have to make anywhere from 7 points of contact, 7 to 10 points of contact before you'll actually get the sale. The question is, what do you do with those 7 points of contact? If you got to follow up with somebody 7 times before you make a sale, what are you doing in those 7 times? What are you delivering? Are you just pushing your product or are you delivering value? You've got to find ways to deliver value. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for the things they say or don't say to deliver value and asking their permission to come back with that. That's your invitation to come back. Does that help a little bit?
I think so. We'll
see if there's any other.
they have any more questions, yeah.
Okay. All right. Then let's get back to where we were. We're delivering this value. We're getting into the ordering system. My friends, those are the 3 things that I think are critical that I've experienced. It's connection, identify value, and deliver. Okay. Again, let's just go back real quick and let's review those. Right here, get invited back. Those are the things that do this. This delivery is vital. Don't miss this. Don't miss this. This is a key. When you have something to deliver, this person right here in this picture, they're going back. Something was ordered, something was wanted by the customer, and they delivered it, right? That's what you want to be thinking about. How can I get a reason to go back? What's my reason for going back? Okay. Now, I want to ask you guys some questions, and you're gonna love me because we're gonna start moving this thing towards a conclusion today. And I want to ask you some key questions though. We've just shown you 3 different ways to make your first meeting absolutely amazing. And there's so many more things we can cover about in just the first meeting. But these are all things that you're going to want to learn and improve on. So how will your future improve when you're seen as a valuable person to every new potential client? See, one of the things that has been talked about when we teach our leadership-based sales, when we teach our leadership skill sets in sales, some people will say, oh man, if I implement this, it's going to take too long. It's going to take too much time. Let me ask you a question. If you could work with, and this actually came to me from one of my biggest mentors in my life. He asked a question. He said, Kylan, if you could make $1 million with 100 people, would you do it? If you could make $1 million talking to 100 people, would you do it? I said, absolutely. Who would say no to that? But he came back with another question. He said, Kylan, if you could make $1 million talking to 10 people, would you do it? I'm like, yeah. He said, which would you prefer? Which would you prefer? Make $1 million talking to 100 people, or make $1 million talking to 10 people? Well, 10 people, obviously. What he was getting at is you want to focus on the quality of your conversations with the people that you are talking with. You don't have to talk to everybody in the world to have unbelievable sales. You have to know how to talk to the right people the right way to get unbelievable sales. You want to learn to become very valuable to that person, especially in agriculture, especially when we're selling the same product as everybody else. We're selling the same information. We're selling the same type of technology. You have to be more valuable to that customer than the other person. Okay. So in order for you to do that, you have to be value able. You have to be able to deliver value, like we've just talked about. The other thing you want to think about is staying deeply connected. How will your future improve when you're deeply connected to the client's desires at each step of the sales process? See, selling is a process. And when you're learning to sell from a leader's perspective, you're staying deeply connected to that client's desires. You're always going back and reminding the client what it is that's important to them, because you learned that in the very first conversation. You learned it. You followed through with it. You carried on with it, and you focused on it. So you're staying connected with that client's desires. So how will your future improve when you're deeply connected each step of the way through the sales process? This is guaranteed selling, my friends. You're staying connected. You're highly valuable. This is how you get way more sales with less people. Isn't that what we want? We want more sales with less people. This is a key to learning to sell the way leaders sell. Okay. How will your future improve when your ability to influence increases way above, well above that of your competitor? Extremely important. Your ability to influence well above your competitor. What does that do for you? Okay. What about this one? How will your future improve when your income increases in direct proportion to your ability to connect and influence people? How will your future be different? How will your family be different when your income increases directly related to your ability to connect, directly related to your ability to influence? Think about that. These are nothing to do with hard skills. This is all about you connecting to people. That is going to change your future, because that is going to increase your income. Now, how will your future improve when you have an opportunity to grow with a sales and leadership mentor each week? How will your future improve when you have an opportunity to grow with a sales and a leadership mentor each week? The value of mentorship is critical. I want to touch base on just one more piece of our story. My wife, I give her so much credit in sticking with me for 29 years. I've been married 29 years, almost 30 years. We have been together. But in that 30 years, my friends, we've gone bankrupt twice. And my wife has stuck with me through all that. In fact, when we got done with our first bankruptcy, we were so broke. We had more money at 21 years old than we did at 34. Okay. And here's the challenge. The reason that I'm sharing that with you, I had no mentorship. I had nobody to help me. I had nobody to teach me. I had nobody to help me learn to be the leader that I needed to be. I went to all these sales training programs. They told me what to do, but I didn't have somebody help me become the person that I needed to become to be successful. That's what mentorship did for me. When I started to learn how to connect with people who would help me become the right kind of person, all the other sales training, all the stuff that I learned started to become valuable because I was becoming the right kind of person to implement it. So my question back to you again, how will your future improve when you have an opportunity to grow with a sales and leadership mentor each week? My friends, I want to be that mentor for you. I've been down roads that you've been down. I've been in a position where I wanted to make more sales and didn't know how. I've been in a position. So here's what I want to offer you. And you're going to see that there's a couple of different offers here. We have an offer, a $14.97 offer right now that has a full retail value of $84.91. Now I want to touch on what a couple of these are. The first one is our TLS Live event. Many of you have been to this TLS Live event before. That live event, from all the people that we have had review our content, who have been to the training, who have been a part of this before, who have done this in multiple different settings before, they estimated the value of this training at $4,800, just the 2-day event. But we don't stop there. Remember when I talked about mentorship being so valuable? I honestly believe, in my own personal opinion, that the 1 year of mentorship calls, we offer 2 calls a month to all of our customers that go through our TLS program, our transformational learning system. The transformational learning is not only going to get you amazing results in your first meeting, it's amazing results in your entire career associated with selling. That's what we focus on. So those mentorship calls, my friends, are 2 calls a month and estimated at $2,600 value. And this is coming from other people who have been a part of this, telling us what this means to them. Me personally, when I had a mentor to call, it was priceless. I couldn't put a value on it because they helped me become the person that I needed to be super successful. We're also going to offer in this program, they're $19.97, a DISC assessment and a report to go with it. That DISC assessment and report is there for you to understand what's your personality style, what are the behaviors that go along with that style, that work with your personality. What do you look like out in public? When I say look like, how are you being perceived in public by other people? What do you look like to other people in the public setting? In other words, when you go out to meet somebody for the first time, what do they see? Not what do you see, what do they see? This, again, when you really think about it, is priceless. But you can see the value that's put on it by our company, the company that equips us with these goals, okay? The 5 mistakes of goal setting. This is another space that we know sales is extremely important, is goal setting. But I've learned that there's mistakes that people make in goal setting. So we talk about what those mistakes are and give you a solution. The 5 mistakes of goal setting, why people don't hit their goals. One of the most critical ones that I've learned is we set the wrong goals. We don't even know really what our goals are for and why we set them. So when I set goals today, my mindset is different. My thinking is different. My ability to look at that is totally, totally different. And then we've got the 15 invaluable laws of growth. This is, again, a book that John Maxwell wrote. John C. Maxwell, he's written almost, I think, over 100 books now. But this is one of them that John wrote that, again, was priceless to me. Now, I do want to stress a little bit, because when you're thinking about personal development, the only thing that guarantees tomorrow is going to be better than today, and this is according to John Maxwell, he said the only thing that's going to make tomorrow better than today is the improvement that you make today. The improvement that you make as a person today is the only guarantee you have that tomorrow will be better. That statement made me look at me and go, wow, what do I have to improve on? What do I have to do to get better? So when I went through his book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, that was a game changer for me because it made me realize, wow, I am responsible for my improvement today. It's not a self-help book, it's an improvement book. Self-help, I think, it's a little misunderstood. I'm not doing this just to self-help. This isn't a motivational thing. This is an improvement thing. Makes my skill set better, makes me a better communicator, a better connector. This is totally different than self-help. Okay. Personal development, personal growth is extremely important in every single area of life. So there's a lot of value in this 1497 program. Rebecca's going to put this in the chat. She'll put it in an email off to you guys. She'll put it on Facebook. You're going to get the registration link. It's a landing page where you can go in and register for our next TLS event and a year of mentorship. When you register, you're getting a year of mentorship. It'll start immediately. Our first call is this Friday. If you sign up today, we're going to have a call on Friday. This coming Friday is your first call into this program. And we're going to be talking about things that's going to make you better in selling, going to improve you and make you better. I'm going to mentor you twice a month directly. That's extremely valuable. Now, you'll notice that there's a word "and" on the other side of this page. Now, I have not approved this with my team. So Rebecca's probably going to look at this and she's right now wondering, what is he about to do? What is he about to do? My friends, I'm going to offer you something here that I'll guarantee our team doesn't want me to offer because it requires time, but I want to give it to you free. So if you register between now and the 1st of October, that's the key. It's next Saturday. If you register between now and next Saturday, I'm going to give you an hour of free business coaching with me directly. You register and we will schedule an hour of time for you and I to connect in business coaching together. My friends, that's a bare minimum of a $250 value. When people hire a business coach on, some of my business coaches, the coaches that I've worked with, they were over $1,000 an hour. It was crazy. Now these guys are super, super successful and I mentor with them. I pay for them and I learn from them. I'm gonna give you an hour of coaching for free. So you get to bring to me the biggest challenges, the biggest problems that you have in selling, whatever it is, selling, leadership, I don't care what it is. If it's related to business, I'm going to give you an hour of time absolutely free. And when we were talking about the DISC assessments and the value of that, I'm going to give you one free DISC assessment on top of the one that you get in your mentor in the program. I'm going to give away another DISC assessment. That's what we want. If you register before Saturday, register on the link that Rebecca is going to send out. You register before Saturday, before October 1st, and you will get these two things from me personally. And we will go through them together. My friends, you don't want to miss out on this. Like I've talked about multiple times throughout this program, I wanted to give you some of the content of making a first meeting really, really amazing. I wanted to make sure that you had all the resources that you need to make that first meeting super successful and get that invitation back. And I hopefully we've done that for you today. Hopefully you've taken some value from this and you're able to look at this and say, Kylan, I can use this. I will use this. I will be better. And if you've taken value from this and you implement the things that you've learned today, you've already gotten more than $14.97 of value in your life. You implement these things, it's worth way more than what this program is right now. Okay. You've already gotten that just by implementing that piece of it. The mentorship program, again, is what's going to really bring you the value over the next year. That's the difference maker. So go ahead, register, connect. Let's get that hour of time set up. I will actually send you a link from my calendar. On that link, I will actually get you some personal time with me, talk over whatever you want to do in business. You're going to get a free assessment. Maybe that's for your spouse. Maybe it's for one of your business partners, one of your employees. Maybe it's somebody out there that you want to work with. You're going to get that from us. Okay. If you've already been to the TLS training before, connect with us. Go ahead and register. We'll get things worked up with you, around that. We're going to make sure you get the value from it. Okay. We want to make sure you get an opportunity to come to this event and be a part of it. Even if you've been to it before, register. Let's do this again. Every time you do it, you're going to be better and better and better. Okay. Extreme.
So,
yeah.
Kylan,
Yep.
I have a testimony.
Perfect.
Says the DISC assessment is priceless. Knowing my personality and how I need to communicate with others has been a game changer in my business with customers and my employees.
That is awesome. I can tell you, and Rebecca, maybe you should speak into this just a little bit. The DISC program has really been a highlight of this 2-day event, isn't it?
It truly is. I mean, the DISC assessment, it's my passion in our training. I love the DISC assessment and what it reveals about us, but the bigger part for me is knowing how to communicate with others, knowing their style, because just like with you, and I have told this, if you've been through our training before, you know that it is what saved our marriage, because Kylan is a very high I and I am an SC, and it just explained a little bit of how we needed to talk to each other, how we needed to hear things.
Yeah.
And when you learn that with your customers, it is a game changer. You just have to be what I call listening between the lines. You have to listen to what they're saying when you ask the questions to understand who they are, to know what they need.
Yeah, it really does come down to who you are, right?
It does. I mean, that's the initial step. That's the biggest part. But then figuring it out how to use it with others is
right.
The next step.
Guys, think about this again. Look at all the stuff that we're talking about through here. Mistakes of goal setting, the invaluable laws of growth, the DISC assessment, the mentorship calls. It's all about helping you become the person that you need to become to create success in your life. That's what it's all about. It's all about you becoming that person. So my friends, this is what we have for you today. I am so grateful. I know we committed to 2 hours. I told my team, I said, man, if we can get this done in an hour and a half, that's super. We exceed expectation. We didn't keep everybody here all the way through lunchtime. And hopefully, you will take this information, you will implement it into your life, and you will start getting results today. I know, like I mentioned at the beginning of this, I'm out meeting cold clients today, meeting people I've never met before. Guys, this excites me because I'm going to implement this myself today. I'm going out right now to implement this. How exciting is that, right? You can do the same thing. Go out and implement what you've learned. Come back, put it to the test. This is going to take time. It's an art to do this, but start working this system and you will get results that you've never dreamed possible. You never dreamed possible. If you know people who have been to this event, to our TLS event, connect with them, talk with them about it, ask them questions about this event, because the testimonials that we have are priceless. I am so blessed to work with amazing people, my wife being one of them. We have an amazing team, but we have great people here who have helped us make these programs what they are. So my friends, let's get registered. Let's plan on seeing you at our next live event. Let's plan on working together over the next year in mentorship. Let me help you in the ways that I didn't get help before. So that's what we have, my friends. Thank you so much for attending. I look forward to seeing your registrations come in. I look forward to connecting with you. I look forward to serving you over the next year. I look forward to giving and just living into your lives with you. God bless, my friends. Make it awesome. Make it awesome. We'll see you at the live event. Thank you again for attending. Thank you for being a part of this with us. God bless. We'll catch you here next time.